was your week? Okay, so I think I heard rough and okay and great and everything in between, ups and downs, yeah. That's where I'm at right now. Whew, this is like, what a ride. It just was a busy week, and I wasn't really thinking when I planned this week way in advance, because it turns out that I put a whole bunch of big projects on the calendar for the same week, and every part of it I love doing, or I wouldn't be standing here. I love being in ministry. I love our grief support group. I love, the opportunity to continue my education through CEU credits that I needed to do this week, and to get ready for the Sunday service. I don't know if you know, but it takes me a good 20 to 30 hours just to get ready for the next 20 minutes. So I want that much time at least. Don't always get that much time. Continued looking at the work that we're going to do on Tuesday night at the conflict class. So that was on the agenda. And Kim Char and Carol and I met to work on our Pride service for next week. And supporting some folks in hospice right now, just having a lot of things to be able to minister in. And it has been my passion. And I have to say that when I started on Monday, I was kind of freaked out. Just because I wasn't sure how I was going to fit it all in. And on Tuesday, in my email, how many of you read the Daily Word? Yeah. So sometimes you can sign up for it to get it an email or have it on your app on your phone. And it showed up in my email, and the affirmation up here on the screen said, "I have faith in my ability to do all I need to today." Whew, good timing. Grateful that you showed up to tell me that. This booklet is something that, if you haven't ordered yet, you might just want to tap into unity.org, because they will help you set up a subscription there. And it's something where every day there is an affirmation, there is a reading, there's some scripture, and it almost invariably for me says exactly what I need to hear for that day. So when I looked at that, I was like encouraged and soothed for about 2 minutes. And then my ego and my intellect kicked in and said, "Kitty, don't you know you can't add to the day as far as hours go. So how are you going to pull all this off?" That was my my orderly, legalistic left mind that needed to see some order to it. And it wasn't, the affirmation wasn't really sticking for me. And it might be that you're just a general underachiever, or at least you believe that about yourself, and you would read that affirmation and go, "I don't know." Maybe your habit is procrastination, and you'd read that affirmation and go, "Maybe I can do that, I don't know." Some of us are just walking around overworked and exhausted from life, and so we read that and think, I don't know if I can tie into that today, or we're just overscheduled, or we can't see where the resources are going to come from. Our intellect has a lot of good reasons why that affirmation is not real for us. And there's this great scripture in the book of Job up here on the screen that says, "You'll decide on a matter, and it will be established for you." That'd be cool, right? Wonder if that really works. Have you tried it? I feel like I've decided on a lot of things, but I haven't necessarily seen it be handled for me. And I'm starting to learn that part of that problem is because I need to be involved. My ego is choosing to be involved instead of cutting loose and just letting the universe take up some of the slack. Wouldn't that be fun if we could get into that? Jesus even said in Mark chapter 9, all things can be done for the one who believes. So remember that guy who came to Jesus with the sick child? "Please, if you can do this, will you help him?" And Jesus said, of course you can do it if you believe. And he said, "I believe, help my unbelief." So we can relate to that, probably. I want to believe, but I'm not really there yet. So this is why I know y'all have a life, and sometimes it gets really busy. And it's an opportunity for us today with this lesson to understand better how to take spiritual principles and apply them in our life so that we can make that statement, "I have faith in my ability to do all that needs to be done today." So we've been using Emily Cady's book up here on the screen, Lessons in Truth. She wrote this book by putting several lessons together that she had given to Unity magazine to be published in the 1900s, early 1903, and they pulled them together. Our co-founders, Charles and Myrtle, had a publishing organization, and they put out this book. It was really one of the first primers that we used to help us see what the universal principles are and how to apply them in our life. So we're studying her book, Lessons in Truth, to understand how to apply metaphysics. And we began this message series with the most important piece of it. So if you missed it a couple weeks ago, go back to our website, unityinnaperville.org, and look for the archives and listen to it again. But let me just give you a real quick summary of the most important pieces of this. And that is, when we talk about metaphysics, we're talking about the nature of reality. We're talking about absolute truth. We're talking about how this universe exists, how it got here in the first place, what is sustaining it, and that includes what is the nature of God, and it includes what is the nature of me, and how God and humankind are meant to work together. And so the four ideals or principles that we start with are how we describe God. Being in a human context most of the time, we'll never get there completely to try and describe an absolute. But let's start with four principles, or repeat them. And one of you came in today. Margie, wave your cup here for us. Margie took the four principles and she drew them on a cup to remind her of them. So yeah, good idea if you're a coffee drinker and it's with you all day to remind you. So up here on the screen, here's what the principles are. Substance reminds us of spiritual energy. If you're a quantum physicist, you would say it's a unified field of energy in this universe. We would say that's the Spirit of God expressing. It's invisible, it's energy, and it becomes visible when we manifest it, when we, as the artist, mold it into something with our faith. And we'll talk more about that. So it's everywhere present. When we say God is omnipresent, one of the qualities that we speak of, everywhere, so is substance, because God is the substance, not God is giving out substance, but is the substance itself. Secondly, she talked about God as life, as power, as the animating force of the universe. So any power we need or use to do anything or to engage our body in life activity is God expressing as life. And we remember that when the body is feeling weak. We also see God as the supreme single intelligence underneath all that is, that comes through us as wisdom and understanding and knowledge and creativity, divine ideas, one mind, everywhere present. That's what we refer to as the omniscience of God. And then the last one is love, which is really the first in all that is. I think if there was one quality that we would use to describe God, we would describe it as all four as love. So that force we talk about, that power or life, its nature is love. That intelligence, its thinkingness is coming out of love. That's what guides it. And that power of love is the power that is causing things to work together for good. Honestly, if you can grasp those top four before you even get to the omnis and realize that they're all omni, everywhere present, only one, if you can get there, then everything you need in life is provided for already. And at this point, it's good to know those things, but we're still struggling with applying them. So this is where our faith comes in. And this is one of our metaphysical principles, so to speak. To me, faith is a principle, it's a power, it's a law. Our faith is what causes things to happen. And most of us grew up with a blind faith because, our minister in church told us that there was a God and then went on to describe him as a he on a throne. And some days he's judging you and maybe even punishing you, and some days he's loving you and rewarding you. So we never really knew how to count on God, at least me growing up. I didn't know what to expect from this moody guy. So instead, we're looking for an understanding faith, which means what I believe in, what I put my faith in, is based on these metaphysical principles that are universal, that are eternal, that never change, that represent what God is. We put our faith in that. And when we engage our faith, the belief, activates Another principle, which is divine law, and we speak of that law as thoughts that we hold in mind produce in the same kind. What we send out as a cause through our consciousness to begin with, we get more of. So like attracts like. And the law, with our faith, basically creates our life. So when you look at your life today and exactly the state that it's in, realize it's been your faith working with divine law. That's how it works. And the way that Charles Fillmore would describe it, our co-founder of Unity, said on the screen, faith is the perceiving power of the mind, linked with the power to shape substance. It's a force that draws to us our heart's desire right out of the invisible spiritual substance. It's a deep inner knowing that that which is sought is already ours for the taking. That's the kind of faith that we want to hold. Now, I know that he's using some words there that can get complicated for us, so I want to just break this down a little bit. When he says faith is the perceiving power of the mind, what does that mean, perceiving power of the mind? Okay, but you use a different word than perceive. The mind's ability to understand, okay? And when we're talking about our highest form of faith, we're talking about a mind that's able to perceive beyond the physical, into the invisible realm, into the spiritual dimension that is right here amongst us. All our loved ones who are on the other side are right here amongst us. They're just working in a different vibration, a different frequency that we can't see with this physical apparatus. So know that when we have a perceiving power of mind, it's the power that actually knows, I see this substance even though I can't see it with my eyeballs. I know that there's enough energy in this universe to provide my every need. It's that kind of perceiving power. And when we have that, then the next step is linked with the power to shape substance. That's the law, not our job. Don't have to understand it, just know that it's working. So our job is to get our power of faith perceiving the invisible. When you can understand that in the face of all difficulty in life, there is a higher, perfect power and intelligence and love and supply working and available to us all the time. And our job is to understand that and see it in whatever is going on in our life. This is why Jesus said to seek first the kingdom. Seek first the spiritual dimension that's underneath everything and let that inform your choices, your decisions, your belief system. Seek first that invisible realm of life and love and intelligence and substance. And then, he said, all those details of your life will take care of themselves. Oh, that's so simple. Sounds simple, right? Yeah. So those are some principles that are waiting for us to use them, and this is where we get to applied metaphysics. How do we use those principles now that we know they exist? Here's some good news. It usually begins with a desire of your heart. And that happens all by itself, doesn't it? Just kind of pops into your awareness and go, ooh, that would be cool. That would be fun. I would like that. Well, this desire, according to the psalmist, says God will give you the desires of your heart. I'm going to say God is not about giving you what the desire is. God is giving you the desire. When you feel a desire in your heart, especially those high-level ones, we'll talk about low-level in a minute, but high-level desires, when you feel those, just know, oh, this is my highest self, my Christ nature, desiring something, wanting to be something as the kitty unit. And because it's working in the kitty unit, it's going to come out with a kitty flavor to it. And the thing that gives me my flavor is God expressing uniquely as me. That's one of our basic principles. Principle number 2 in Unity, that we're expressions of that presence. So here comes this desire in our heart that wants to be born, wants to allow us to evolve and express more of our divine potential. It's calling to us. And Emily Cady describes it this way. I'm not 100% on board with her languaging, but we'll come back to that. Up here on the screen, she said, the only way God has of letting us know of his infinite supply and his desire to make it ours is for him to push gently on the divine spark living within each one of us He wants you to be a strong, self-sufficient person, to have more power and dominion over all before you. So he quietly and silently pushes a little more of himself, his desire, into the center of your being. He enlarges your real self, and at once you become conscious of new desire to be bigger, grander, stronger. Desire is the thing in its incipiency. We'll explain that word in a minute. So, when you start to feel a desire, that is the indication that whatever will bring forth that desire is already available. It's basically existing in the spiritual dimension, in the mind of God already. And all the resources needed already provided through the substance. And how to unfold it is already provided through the divine intelligence within us. So we just simply at that point know, okay, how do I work with the law now to bring that from thought into creation? We have to agree with it. We have to agree with the desire of our heart and know that everything that's needed to bring it forth is already provided. So remember that when we activate the law, we do that with our faith. And what our faith is simply a belief that you've been holding long enough that suddenly you feel an agreement with it. You know what I mean by that? You feel like you think of it and you feel, yeah, that's mine. A relaxed state of being. So what we're trying to get to is an energy that agrees with the desire, that says, yes, that's mine. So if you want to check out where you're at with your faith, just stop and ask yourself, how do I feel when I think about my finances? And then just sit there and check it out. And notice if there is a feeling of, wow, yeah, plenty, ready to go. What is it I'd like to do with my finances? Then you're probably in alignment with your higher self. If you think about your finances and you just go, and there's a wilting feeling or a stressful feeling or a depressed or sad feeling, it means that what we believe is out of alignment with what our higher self knows. So let that be your clue. You know, ask yourself, how do I feel about my health? What's your feeling? Is it awake and aware and so grateful that divine life is present in me? Or is it stressed out because of a diagnosis or a chronic illness that's just got you tied down and feeling difficult? Anything in our life going on, just ask ourselves, what do we feel about this aspect of my life? Your feelings will tell you. And at that point, you'll know whether you need to realign your energy and start thinking like the mind of God thinks, or if you're already there. So last week, we talked about one way to do that, and that is to use our power or our tool of denials. Remember that? Denials is not, this is not happening, this is not happening. Not that kind of denial. Our denial is to look at what's happening, but to deny it any power over you, and to use words like that. So this stock market crash has no power over my finances. That's a denial. That wicked boss of mine has no power over my good. Don't use the word wicked, you're just aligning with wickedness, aren't you? Yeah. So, my loving, wise, intelligent boss has no power over me. Cannot keep me from my good. How can we say that? Because we know who our true source is, and it's not the boss, and it's not the stock market. So, we use denials. As a matter of fact, up here on the screen, Emily Cady said this is who should use denials. People inclined to dwell on thoughts of pain, sorrow, troubles of the past or present, they need to deny more often. Denials are also for those who are hard, intolerant, aggressive, arrogant, selfish, or unforgiving. So up here on the screen, let's show a couple denials. Let's say these together. Sickness has no power over me, and that person cannot keep me from my good. So it's pretty healthy to, if you're going to use a denial, to follow it up with an affirmation. They go hand in hand, denials and affirmations. And that's where I want to land today, is on this tool of affirmations, which is basically just speaking the truth about God in your situation. If you got those 4 things on Margie's coffee cup, then you'll be able to know what to affirm in any given moment. So ask her if she can start a business and sell those, and maybe you could buy one from her. Okay, so looking at affirmations is speaking the truth about God, and Emily Cady would say this, she'd say, affirmations are good for the timid, those who give in easily, who fear others, who are subject to anxiety, doubt, or negativity. So the way that an affirmation works is not, please God, give me a job or help me find a job. And I'll tell you, the problem with that is it starts from the premise that I don't have, that it's missing. So what do you think when you pray that way, please God, find me a job? What do we actually think God's going to do? I mean, walk that through in your logical mind, and the only thing I can think of is, well, God must be like knocking on someone else's door and giving them my name and telling them to look me up on Indeed so they find my resume and hire me. Yeah, but God is not into controlling us, so that's probably not going to happen. Nobody's going to show up on your doorstep and say, come work for me, if you're not doing your thing. So instead of thinking that God's got the job in a closet somewhere and will send it to you, everything related to getting a job is in what God is already giving of itself all the time. How many times do I have to tell you people this? I'm sorry. That was a snide remark. But I was kidding, and not really. No. See, I choked on my own spit. I reap what I sow. So, I lost my train, so let's keep going. God can only do for us what God can do through us, okay? So in order for us to experience the job, that comes with, first of all, intelligence, right? It's going to start with an idea. Almost everything you want to pray for is going to begin, the answer is going to begin with an idea, okay? So you've already got that. The intelligence, one mind, you share in it, your mind, God mind, all the same, in connection, in communion. So we work with that intelligence. We work with that creativity, those divine ideas. And, to make sure that we can pay our bills in the meantime, we work with the divine substance that's available to us. Now, it's just sitting there. It's kind of a neutral thing until you plant your idea into it and add your faith and belief, which generates or activates the law of attraction, and then it starts coming into you. So you are very involved in this process. But it's not about asking God to give it to you. It's receiving what's already been given. That's why we call it affirming prayer. We affirm what's already been given. And we give it a little flair and flavor based on what the desire happens to be in our heart. So a couple affirmations up here on the screen. I am now guided to my right and perfect employment, or I have all I need to be successful. And when we say those things, we do that to change the subconscious so that it gets to a place where it agrees with you and it feels relaxed when we say those things. So I'm just here to tell you that this whole thing here doesn't just come by getting out of bed and showing up. Where is she going with this? So there was a point this morning when I was standing in front of the mirror and my hair was sopping wet. And I looked at it knowing I was about to dry my hair, and it was going to look, what do you think, beautiful? Yeah. Before I was done. All right. So I reached for the hairdryer, and I plugged it in, and I turned it on, and nothing happened. Uh-oh. So the next thing I did was I pulled it out of the plug because I've had problems with that outlet, and I stuck it in a different plug. That'll do it. Nothing happened. So then I got one of these big honking hair dryers that has on the end of the plug, it's like this big, and it's got those little reset buttons. So I press reset, 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 reset. Plug it in, turn it on, nothing happens. Anybody relating to this? Yeah, okay. So I'm looking at what time it is, and I'm thinking, okay, this has to be solved. And it's not going to be solved because I don't have the time to get dressed, drive to Walgreens, pick up another hairdryer, and get back home again and turn out like this. So I ended up, after I was absolutely sure this was not going to turn on, I just simply reached underneath my cabinet and I pulled out a backup hairdryer. And I knew from the moment I clicked it and nothing happened, I knew there was a backup hairdryer underneath that cabinet. So the whole time I was dealing with it and trying things, I was very relaxed. I absolutely had no doubt in my mind. This doesn't work, this one does. So that's the kind of faith you want to get to. That when your hairdryer doesn't work, you are so solid in your faith that you know there is a backup hairdryer to pay your bills or to heal the body or to find you the mate. It's there already given. We just have to remember it, relax in the knowing of it, and then look for it. Oh, here it is under the cabinet. Pull it out. Are you following me? Is that a metaphor you can work with? Yeah. Okay, good to know, especially all you ladies out there who, use hair dryers on your hair. All right, so when we're affirming the truth and trying to strengthen our faith, and we're just learning about these affirmations, how many of you, when you learned about affirmations, the first thing you did was say, I'm winning the lottery, I'm winning the lottery, I'm winning the lottery, I'm winning the lottery. How many of you got that $1 million yet? Anybody? Okay, but you're gonna, right? All right, so when we focus on all those specifics, the mate or the healed body or the lottery, that requires a little bit more of our faith because we've been living a life that basically said, no, those things are not possible. Just look around or look at my, history in life. Haven't won that lottery yet, evidently. It's not really going to work. Or, my parents had this illness, so they died of it. How am I going to get past that? We start using the subconscious. Remember we talked about that a couple weeks ago? The subconscious has all those memories in there, and they fight with what you're trying to put in. So we don't want to be in a fighting mode. We just want to be in an awareness mode. I've got some stuff in here that needs to be cleaned out. And I'm going to use some affirmations that will help me do that. So you could, it's fun to create. It's fun to choose specific things that you want to use affirmations and build your faith up about. And go ahead and try it. I really, I've created a lot of specific things in my life, and it's fun. But I'm just saying that there is kind of a no-fail affirmation, or 4 of them today we'll talk about, that I think when you really start living in them, all the details take care of themselves. So let's look at them. This is coming from Emily Cady again from her Lessons in Truth. This first one is kind of the grounding of all affirmations. And if you don't get anything else I say today, this is the one that you might want to put on a coffee cup. Here it is. Let's say it together. God is life, love, intelligence, substance, omnipotence, omniscience, omnipresence. Now, how does that help you? Oh, in everything. You might be like, well, how's that going to get me a job? How's that going to get my body to heal? Well, think of what these principles mean, that they're already present in us, and they're waiting for our agreement with them to express. That's how they're going to help you. Oh, my Lord, we have been given the keys to the kingdom. Oh, my gosh, my Pentecostal is coming out of me. Okay, we've been given the keys to the kingdom, as Jesus said. Now you know why he said that. You've got life and love and substance and intelligence at your beck and call that will answer any problem that you have. In this world there will be tribulation, but have courage, take heart, be of good cheer. We've overcome that through that spirit within us. That is so cool. All right, so let's go to the second affirmation together. I am an expression of God, and every moment God's life, love, wisdom, power flow through me. So that means that it's not out there. It reminds us that it's within us, and it has to work through us. It has to agree with our consciousness. We have to feel it in our being in order to be it in expression. So when we look at that, we know there is no person that can get in the way of my good because it's all within me. And no matter what you do out there or say that could appear to be upsetting or limiting to you, if you don't agree with it, if you affirm I'm an expression of God and every moment God's life, love, wisdom, and power flow through me, what is that to me? As Jesus said, who was it to? Peter probably, whining about John. How come John gets to follow along? It's like, what is that to you? If you see something on the news and it sounds like they're taking your good again, you say, what is that to me? God is life, love, substance, and talent through me, as me. Ooh, this is so exciting. So I had to put in a sub-affirmation in this one. Let's put this up on the screen. As an example, let's say this. This appearance of weakness is not of spirit. God, manifest as life, wisdom, and power, is now flowing into my entire being and out through me to the external. Where does it begin? Yes. Consciousness, choosing those thoughts to inform the subconscious, and then the subconscious rises up and starts building, starts radiating that frequency. Universe responds with divine law. Are you starting to see how the process works? Okay. And then the third affirmation together. I am spirit, perfect, holy, harmonious. Nothing can hurt me or make me sick or afraid. For spirit is God, and God cannot be sick or afraid. Oop, I missed one. I manifest my real self through this body now. All right, this was the idea that caught the attention of Myrtle Fillmore, our co-founder. She had 6 months to live. She was dying of tuberculosis. And suddenly she got this information that I am not a human being. I am a spiritual being. I'm an expression of God. And what God is, I am. And yes, I live in a vehicle called a body that sometimes gets sick. But it has no power over me. The only power working in me is life. So when we get out of the body and we're just pure spirit, we'll go, oh yeah, that never touched me the spirit. So this affirmation is going to remind me that whatever is happening, whatever our body might be experiencing or our bank account might be experiencing, has nothing to do with the truth of me. I am spirit and one with divine substance. So all that I need is present here. And let's speak this fourth affirmation together. God works in me to will and to do what is for the highest good, and God cannot fail. Okay, so this is a reminder. When we say God cannot fail, it's not God, the guy outside of ourself that is doing everything for us. God as us. Our spirit is God expressing. That part of ourself cannot fail. And when we read those words, God works in me to will and do what is for the highest good, we're not talking about turning our will over to some large being in the sky. And what if we don't like his will? We're not talking about that. That's not how it works. Your will is God will. Your will, the things you desire, the things you want, is God wanting as you. Get that. Wow, that's a wake-up call. So when those desires start coming in, okay, pay attention, highest self. Now, if it's a desire to, let's see, what would be in, I hope they get fired. I desire that they get fired. I don't have to look at them every week anymore. Okay, is that a desire of God? What is that higher desire that might get then skewed by the negative ego? What's a higher desire when you say, I want that person fired? Say again? Yeah, maybe. But think more for the self. I want peace in my workplace. I want peace in me. Yeah, let's just start with that. Really, that's all we got control over, people. Just me. So I want peace in me. So guess what? Spirit can work with that. That sounds like your higher self saying, okay, this is what we really want, peace in me. What is him to me? What is her to me? Has no power over me. We want to get to that place where I'm at peace no matter who is yammering around me. There's nothing they can do to take my peace from me. Those are the kind of things that we affirm and deny, so that we are expressing that, knowing that God's will is always for the highest good of everyone involved, okay? So when you worry that God's will for you will not be good, can't happen, not possible, because you are God expressing. So you're all in this together. The joy is when you can just feel that desire, and if it's a little bit lower, then you bring it up, ding, okay, that feels good. then you know which one you're working towards. And really, it's more about allowing, seeking first the kingdom and the principles of God, and then all the details will take care of themselves. That person might not, or might leave, but that person might also start to be more friendly towards you. Or you don't even notice them anymore. Who knows? But see, that's not your worry. You don't have to worry about the how. You just get your energy into that place of peace. And your job is using your faith to believe, I have the source of peace within me. I don't have to fear anything out there. Yeah? Okay. So when we say this up here on the screen, back to our daily word affirmation. Do we have that up here? There we go. Let's say this together. I have faith in my ability to do all I need to today. How do we say that and really mean it? I'm going to finish with Ernest Holmes. This is from his book, Science of Mind. He was kind of a cohort, a little bit younger than Charles and Myrtle. But this makes sense to me. He says, prayer is an active acceptance of God's highest willingness and recognizing spiritual law, putting ourselves in alignment with it. So it's not asking God to do something for us. It's us accepting what God has already done. Even better to say what God already is. As me. Wow. That's a different point of view, right? Did you find something in there today that you can latch onto and just start working with? You don't have to remember this whole thing or figure out this whole thing yet. But there was something that probably like, oh, I felt that. Oh, I could do that. Just work that. Okay? One of the ways we work it is in meditation. So let's go over here and do that. Not everybody. I'll just go over here. You stay where you are. Okay, let's close our eyes if that feels good to you. Be present. We step here into this moment away from the past, and we turn away from the future of our day. And we just get present to the chair that we're sitting in. Notice the temperature of the room. Feel the chair that you're sitting in. Take a deep breath as if God is breathing you. Another breath to release any tension. Now breathe in, breathing love. Divine love is present right here and now. I sense that love. An energy, a power that wants my good. I sense this presence of love working for my good. That feels good. To know that love is bringing harmony to my body, to my relationships. I sense this presence of love, taking in all that is happening in my life and harmonizing it for good. With this presence of love always here within and through me, I relax. My good is assured. I relax in the knowing that any need I might have today or next week or for the rest of my life is filled by this presence of divine energy, divine substance. I take this time to just become aware of this energy all around me and through me. I picture it in my mind's eye as golden snowflakes falling all around me. And I simply gather it into my consciousness, planting a divine desire, a divine idea into it. Imagining how that substance becomes something visible. What does it look like? There is no limit to the potential within me to create, to imagine, to desire. There is no limit to the substance that manifests. And so I'm relaxed and grateful. Anything that I'm facing in my life today that requires a solution, an answer, a decision, I give thanks. My mind dwells in the mind of God. I am assured in the supreme intelligence, the one mind, to have every answer I seek, already giving of itself before I've even asked. I know what is mine to do. I am enthused by these possibilities. Grateful that there are no limits to what can be conceived in my mind. I am willing to will the will of God, the highest will for me, the highest good for me. As God and I are one. God's good and my good are one. And as I place my faith in these truths of this spiritual universe, I relax, knowing that all is well. This is the truth about God. This is the truth about me. And now I let it be. Amen. And so it is.